Hey guys, Kekvin here. Just want to give a little quick warning before we do start today's video. We talk about some pretty uncomfortable topics in today's video. This includes topics such as the P word. If this topic makes you uncomfortable, please do not continue any further. This is a very uncomfortable topic for me to talk about, but I felt as if it was necessary after a video I have uploaded recently. But anyways, let's continue. So if you guys aren't already aware, I made a video pretty recently addressing somebody in the Genshin community who was considered a lollipop. Lollipop is a word that I like to use to define the term LOICON, or the community around it, which is the group of people which we will prominently be talking about in today's video. If I'm being quite honest, this video got a lot more traction than I thought it would. It has nearly 100,000 views and a whopping 2.4 thousand dislikes, which, to be honest, I'm not too shocked about. I knew that community was big and that I was going to receive hate. Now, in this video, I target one person in specific, which I think was a big problem when making this video, because I think this is a really big problem that isn't just dumbed down to one person. The reception to the video was also just a little off-putting. I saw a lot of comments asking me like, hey, you know, this YouTuber did this or this YouTuber did that. I even had a guy send me a whole documented email to my business email trying to goat me into going after another YouTuber. It's just so cringe. So today, I want to do more than just address one individual, and I want to address the lollipop community as a whole, as it's truly one of the most disgusting things on the platform, and something I feel as though it's important to spread awareness about. This individual was just one example of a larger whole, and also the individual in question after that video has since been suspended on Twitter for obvious reasons. It's almost like Twitter has a zero tolerance policy towards any feature or promotions of child sexual exploitation, whether that may include media, text, illustrated, or computer generated images. Wait, but it's just pixels. Huh? Wait, but it's literally just pixels. Why are they so upset, guys? Man, it's almost like every single social media platform has the exact same rules. I just don't get why they're so upset. Jokes aside, Twitter and every other platform doesn't support these actions for obvious reasons. And with that, let's address the lollipops community first wall of defense, because they have multiple layers. They have a couple like barriers set up, a couple immediate responses that they'll use as soon as you have any inclination or problem with them. The first one being, it's just pixels. It's just a drawing. The typical response that you'll get from most of these people. And frankly, it's something that's really hard to argue against because it is just a drawing. And at the end of the day, there's no laws that outright go against these people. So everything comes down to your own moral code. You have to make up your own conclusion on what you consider to be moral and what's not moral, because the legality of it can't clarify it for you. It's not like murder, which is obviously wrong because it's illegal in every state and every country. So it always goes back to this big moral dilemma. And for lollipops, it's the exact same. Do you consider the sexualization of minors in video games or cartoons to be P word? And that's a moral dilemma for few people. For me, it's about as clear as night and day. And I feel like it is for most people as well. Any person who I think I've ever spoken to about this topic has always just agreed, yeah, these people are creeps, P words, and should probably seek help. But there's this weird corner of the internet. It's always internet people. You'll never meet anybody in real life who likes this stuff. I believe the first question you should be asking yourself, if your first argument is it's just a drawing or it's just the pixels, is what is it a drawing of? If the answer is a child, do you not think it's wrong to have a sexual attraction towards that depiction of a child? And the virtual age of this character or these characters do not matter. An author can write that Nahida is 2,000 years old. It does not matter. The virtual age of these characters is completely irrelevant. As we've established last video, the only thing that matters is the body type of the character. If I sat here and I said, man, Clifford the big red dog, and then I started spitting off a bunch of sexual lingo about that character, would you not think I was into dogs? Since that is literally a depiction of a dog. And if I were to sit here and make sexual jokes about a dog, a depiction of a dog, would you not think I was some sort of freak that I should probably seek mental help? Because I have a feeling you would. And that example is no different than your attraction to virtual images of little kids. That example is the exact same. If you want to use the just pixels argument, you have to also accept that anybody who wants to, to dogs in TV shows, that they're just normal people. There's nothing wrong with them. That's completely fine. That's your moral code now. You have to accept that. Either all of it is okay or none of it is okay. There's no in between. Like, why do you think every platform imaginable bans depictions of children that are sexual? Twitter, YouTube, Twitch all have restrictions on this. Not to mention, they all ban nudity. Twitch just had this whole thing with banning depictions of nudity. Why do you think that is? Because it's a depiction of nudity. It doesn't matter if it's real or a drawing, it's still a depiction of it. And we can't show that stuff to the children who are on Twitch. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. What matters is what's drawn and what it intends to be. Now, the next thing I want to cover is the moral gray area, because there is a little bit of a gray area here. And I think it's important to talk about because a lot of people don't know where to draw the line. And it's really hard to draw a line because there is so much nuance here. But I'm going to make it kind of easier for you guys to digress. And according to my own moral code, what I'd consider to be okay. So in my eyes, there's like 3 levels of tiers that these virtual characters can fall into in terms of body types, because like we've discussed previously, that's all that matters when discussing this topic. The virtual age of these characters is completely and utterly irrelevant. Let's use Honkai Star Rail for an example. So there's obviously grown women, which include characters like Kafka, Acheron, Black Swan, and then below that, there would be small women, which include characters like Sparkle, Silverwolf, for example, and then below that, there's children, characters like Hook and Clara. And what I personally believe should be generally accepted, according to my own moral code, is it's okay to be attracted to the top 2 categories, but not the third. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with being attracted to older women. I feel like that should go without saying. But then comes the moral gray area, which is that middle category, the small woman category, with characters like Sparkle and Silverwolf, for example. This is something that's really hard to establish a line in, like a definitive line, but short women are a thing. That's a real thing. Short women exist. Boom, mind explosion. And this is where I think you need to account for maturity. In the case of a character like Silverwolf, for example, if she was going around saying, "Goo goo gaga, I'm baby," then maybe it's a little weird. But because of the maturity that she shows as a character, I don't have too much of a problem with it, even though she's like 5'4". I don't hold that same standard for the baby characters, who are 3'2" and the size of a little toddler, a 12-year-old. Because there's no debate. Short women don't go that short. There's no short woman who looks like Nahida. Also, it's not just about the height of a character. These characters all proportionally look like children. Small hands, arm spans, shoulders. The only female that I've ever seen have legs as short as Nahida are little kids. Again, it's very hard to discern, so I personally like to avoid this topic and just choose to dial in on what I know is wrong. But if you want my take on that, there it is. The next typical offense, the second wall of defense, is the "I'm not hurting anybody, I'm not doing anything wrong," which is probably the worst line of defense that they have, because especially for people who glorify it and talk about it online and make posts like that last guy was doing, who we talked about last video, you're not only actively glorifying this stuff on the internet, but you're actually creating a whole space that's like a safe space for P words. It's insane. You may not even intend to do this, but you are doing this, whether you want to admit it or not. People are now coming to you or your channel and being like, "Oh, okay, maybe I am normal. Maybe there's nothing wrong with how I feel or my actions." And you're creating this area where now everybody is just accepting that it's okay. You created a whole community around it. Also, these people act like no lollipop has ever hurt anyone. At least he didn't hurt anybody. You know them? You're best friends with them? Oh, really? I'd personally argue the chances of you endangering or sexually making advances on a child probably goes up after becoming attracted to virtual images of children. Obviously, that's impossible to prove, but if you contain the sexual desire towards a depiction of a child, then you should probably put into question what your intentions really are. Porn is more than just fiction to some people, and although for you, it may not be, for other people, it sometimes turns into more. A BBC study found that 71% of men have done things which I'm not going to say out loud during consensual intercourse. And 57% of the men that did this said that their actions were inspired by pornography. If we apply that same logic to the lollipop community, well, then you get where we're going. To some people, it's more than just fiction, and that's where the problem really starts to come in. And although it may not be you, and you may not want to admit it, it could be the next guy who stumbles onto this stuff. It could be the guy before you. You don't know. And by promoting it on social media platforms or glorifying it to other people, you are potentially endangering a child. All right, now that we've discussed that point, we've now broken through 2 walls. Let's go through the last one. And the last one is very simple. If all else fails, it's just a joke. Who else is laughing here? It's just a joke. What was funny about the joke? I like children, tee hee ha ha. What's funny about that? Who's laughing? I think they like to define it as edgy humor is what they usually like to clarify it. You know, back when you were in 7th grade, you made some really cringe, edgy jokes to your friends that were slightly controversial. And now you're just on Twitter doing it, sending it to thousands of people. Yeah, that you know what? That might have been funny when you're 12. If you're a full-grown adult and you're making jokes about liking kids, who's laughing? Bro, it's just you. Ain't nobody else. I'm looking around. I don't see anyone else laughing. You know, I've kind of come to understand that this behavior is just kind of accepted in certain cultures and that there's nothing me or anyone else can do to speak out against it. I'm not going to call out what cultures those are, but I feel like everyone kind of knows. I just don't feel like calling out whole countries today. But this type of behavior and degeneracy will never be accepted in Western culture, and definitely not on the internet, and definitely not in my comment section. But anyways, I hope this helped educate you guys a little bit and understand why this stuff is so gross and disgusting and needs to be talked about more. But anyways, that's going to be all for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to see you all in the next one. Peace.